look at these poppin' curls, this melted lace and laid edges, honey. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to go from a straight out of the box to looking like it's coming straight out of your scalp. Because let's be honest, most of the time when you buy the wig online, it's going to take some work. All right, let's hop right into it. So the wig I'm working with today was sent to me by Julia's Hair Company. This is their Brazilian curly HD lace wig. Just giving you guys a quick unboxing. I got some lashes and a little satin headscarf that has the company name. Keep in mind this is like a PR sent to me wig, so that's why I have this little like lashes and stuff. Most of the time when you buy wigs online and it's not like for like review or like PR, it's probably just going to be of just, you know, the wig and the wig cap. With that said, here is what the wig was looking like straight out of the box. You can notice the curls are not looking as juicy and defined as that intro clip, right? Don't worry, we'll get to that part too. So this is what the wig was looking like straight out of the box. I just slapped it on my head, right? And most of the time when you buy a wig, you're gonna have to bleach the knots. What does that mean exactly? Basically, let's come a little closer. Those little black dots on my head that you see like on the lace, the knots where the hair was tied onto the lace, you want to bleach those to make it blonde, so that way, you know, it looks like it's coming out of your scalp. So for bleaching, I'm going to be using this BW bleaching powder. I have this really big tub. If you have one wig, you don't need a big tub. I have many wigs that I'm doing all the time, so I need a big tub. But you honestly only need like a little one scoop, like a little, they also like sachets. One sachet should be good for a frontal and a closure, right? So I pour in my powder in my little hair mixing bowl, and I'm using a 40 volume developer. The reason why I use 40 volume is because I feel like I'm kind of like a pro, not a pro, but I'm pretty used to using developer. But if you're a beginner, I suggest using 30 and nothing less than 20. The developer is basically how fast the knots will be bleached, right? So the less the number developer, the slower. But if it's too low, they won't be lifted enough because we're going from black to blonde. Keep that in mind. So the main thing you want to remember when you're doing this step is to add your developer in slowly because you want to achieve a certain consistency. And if you add too much too fast, it will get too runny. When it gets too runny, it's going to run through the lace and start actually like bleaching your actual hair. And you don't want the hair to be blonde unless you're going for a blonde roots look. But I'm pretty sure that's not what you're going for. So I always add in small amounts and stir and see where the texture is at. The texture that you're going for is like cake frosting, where it's spreadable. It's still thick where it's not runny, but it's still spreadable. Okay, if you're like dragging it, that means it's too dry. You want a nice creamy smooth spread, and you want to be able to turn over your little mixing spoon and it does not start to spill out of it. All right, before you apply the bleach to the wig, you want to go ahead and spray away all of the hair in the front because you don't want to get bleach on those either. Trust me, my very first time making a wig, I was not aware of that, and I bleached all of the baby hairs. It was quite disastrous. Once you have all the hairs pushed back, then we are ready to start bleaching these knots. Please bear with me with these awkward camera angles. I wasn't too sure how to place my tripod. Okay, it's a work in progress. Trust me, the next ones will be better. But so here I am just bleaching the knots. I like to just go from top to bottom, right? I just drag down from top to bottom with my brush. Applying enough pressure to get to the knots, but not enough to push it all the way to the hair, if that makes sense. So put a little bit of pressure, but not too much where you're starting to, you know, bleach the actual hair. Once I have covered every single knot, right, I like to just fold the hair over, the wig over, and just let it sit. I like to set a 15-minute timer, and I come in every 15 minutes and check it. But overall, it takes about 30 to 45 minutes depending on, you know, how hard the knots are going to be to bleach. This is about 30 minutes later, and as you can see, the hair is blonde right there at the roots. I don't like to go anything past this. You can go a little bit lighter if you're bold, but honestly, I wouldn't try it because if you have it on for too long, you can also over process it, and that's also what can cause shedding to your lace. So if you notice your frontal is shedding a lot, maybe it's not the company's fault. It's probably that you over bleached and over processed the knots on the wig. Now that I have washed all of that out, right, as you can see, it's looking a little crazy. It's looking orange and yellow and just, it's got a lot going on. So what we're gonna do is take this purple shampoo right here. I got this from Walmart, but people also use shimmering lights. I'm gonna use this purple shampoo to help tone down all of that brassiness and yellowness, right? I like to make sure I completely saturate the lace. I probably feel like I use too much, but honestly, I just go ham on it. I let it sit for another 5 minutes, sometimes longer, but not too long. I don't want to tint the lace itself. And then I go in and wash that out, and voila, it's, yes, brassy, orangey, and yellow. It's a little bit orangey, but it's not that bad. It's way better than what it was before. It's more neutral now. Now we can go ahead and start plucking and getting that hairline snatched. So I'm using a canvas blockhead. I do suggest investing in one of these. They're about $23 to $30 depending where you buy them. They're way better than the styrofoam heads in my opinion, and they actually resemble an actual human head. So what you gotta do, right, you wanna make sure you get the lace nice and taut and pulled down. I am plucking this wig wet. You can pluck dry or wet. I prefer to pluck wet because I feel like it's much faster and I can see the hairline a lot better. But when you're plucking the hair wet, just keep in mind you don't have too much control, and a lot of hair can come out very, very fast. So if you're gonna pluck it wet and you're a beginner, go very slow and take your time. But honestly, I would suggest just plucking it dry and using a hot comb to help you push back the hairline so you can get the same wet look effect where you can see the hairline properly. So I part the hair in the middle. This is very important. Make sure you part your hair in the middle so you know where the middle is, because you don't want to actually pluck on the middle of the hair. Here are the tweezers that I'm using, and you want to get a slant tip tweezer. That's what works for me. I've tried other different types of tweezers, but those don't work as well as a slant tip. One thing I've learned over time is that it's better to not pluck directly in front of the hairline, especially if you know you want baby hairs, because then you start plucking away all your baby hairs and it's just all spacey and looks weird. So I always pull out the first line of hair, sometimes a little bit more depending on how thinned out the hair is already or how pre-plucked it came. So I pull out a little bit of hair and I want to make sure I'm pulling back the rest and getting a good pull back grip. The tighter you pull back the hair, the easier the knots will come out. So once I've gotten a good grip of the hair, right, I'm gonna start plucking, and I pluck with the tip facing downward, and I just try to pluck, skip a line, pluck, skip a line, right? I'm gonna show you guys in slow motion. So I pluck a section, skip, pluck a section, skip. And once I've plucked a little bit in the front, right, I take my tweezers a little bit further back into the hairline and do the same thing. I'm no longer plucking in the front anymore. Keep that in mind. You do not want to be plucking in the same place because that is how you get baldness and patches. So as you can see, my tweezer's not exactly in the front as where it was before now. I'm going further back into the hair and, you know, thinning it out. And yeah, so I just go ahead and do that all over to the next side. I'm just gonna let you guys just continue to watch me pluck, because I feel like some things you gotta watch instead of me talking about it, and I'll come back to the rest of the voiceover. Once I've plucked all the way behind the hairline, I push all the hair back forward, and depending on how thinned out the hair is, once I got it, I'll go ahead and just pluck just a little bit in the front, like just a few couple of lines that I feel like need to be plucked, and then that's really it, because I'm someone who likes a lot of baby hairs in my install, so I don't pluck too much in the front. If you're going for no baby hair hairline, then you can pluck a little bit more in the front, but still, don't go too ham. And I'm going to go ahead and do the other side, and we can go and install this wig. So now that my wig is plucked and done, we are ready to finally install her. Normally I do tint my lace with my foundation, but since this company said this was an HD lace, I wanted to test out how HD the lace actually is. HD lace meaning that you basically, like, you know, high definition television or whatever, it's crystal clear, you can see right through it. HD lace basically meaning it's crystal clear, not really, but basically meaning it's gonna melt into your skin no matter what skin tone that you have going on. So I have the wig on. As you notice, I didn't use a wig cap. I don't really use wig caps or do the ball cap method unless I'm using like actual glue. That's why I feel like the ball cap method is the most useful for protecting the glue from getting onto your actual hair. So no ball cap method for me, baby. Here I'm going in, I'm gonna just cut off the little lace around my ear. I try to imagine I'm drawing like an upside down U shape. Take your time, go slow. Step is important, especially if you're gonna be doing a side part and showing off the sideburns. You gotta make sure you get a good fit around the ears. So I'm using my Got To Be Freeze Brass Spray, and I'm just spraying that directly onto the lace and a little bit onto the hair. The closer to the hair you get, the better, but the Got To Be spray, let's be honest, it's very messy and you can't control just where you're spraying. I'm using my blow dryer on a warm to cool setting. Don't use hot. Hot is a little bit too harsh and it won't get it to stick that well. So I use a warm setting and I just let the glue dry with the blow dryer. I feel like using the blow dryer is really the major key. Once I started using the blow dryer on top of my Got To Be, it just really stuck and it made much more sense using it this way. Once I have my wig nice and stuck to my head, I'm going to be using these scissors to just cut the hair in sections. This helps it easier to cut off the lace. And I'm using an eyebrow razor to help me cut off the lace. The eyebrow razor helps you get a more jagged look because you don't want to cut the lace straight across because that's not how your hairline is. Your hairline is not straight across your forehead. So the thing is, whenever you are, you know, cutting off the lace, and if you're using Got To Be, you will get some lifting, and the lifting will cause this white, you know, residue that you see going on. Don't worry, don't panic. It's very simple. Just means that the lace is dry because you lifted it. And all you have to do is to go in with some Got To Be spray or some water. But since I did have some lifting, I used the spray just a little bit. I sometimes tap it into my fingers and just push that in. Go back with your blow dryer and, you know, set it all back in. Boom, bam, it's melted back into my hair. I always get lifting on my sideburns after the first glue, so I always go back in and spray the sideburns, and I pull down the hair to kind of help work as an anchor, so, like, you know, the sideburns will actually stay nice and stuck. I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other side and come back to you guys. Ensure that the lace is truly melted into my scalp. I'm using this elastic band just for a few moments to kind of help push all of that in and let everything just dry and set before I start to do my baby hairs. After letting the lace dry for like a minute or so, I'm ready to start, you know, getting the style of the wig together. So I knew for sure I was going for a side part, and I'm just here trying to brush out some of the Got To Be because it does get the hair a little bit crunchy and dry in the front, but just gently brush it out and comb all that out and get your parting ready. For getting a good part, you're gonna need a, what's it called? A hot comb. A hot comb is also essential for a wig install, wig, frontal closure, even if it's a sew-in, whatever, you need a hot comb. That is major key. Once I am satisfied with my part, I'm gonna go in and start doing the baby hairs. I'm using the clear black Got To Be gel. I like to use this because I like the set that it gives my baby hairs. They do not move. People like a more softer look with their baby hairs. So, you know, other products like mousse or other edge controls work, but I like what I like, so I use what I use. I'm just going in and gonna start swooping these baby hairs. I'm not gonna show all of this on the camera, just, you know, to save us some time, because this is a little bit of a lengthy video, not that bad, but you know. But I do have a very detailed baby hair tutorial that I recently brought out. I'll link that down below if I remember. Hopefully I remember. But yeah, so I'm gonna do my baby hairs and come back to you guys. All right, so we got the baby hairs popping. Look at those swoops, swoopy, swoop, swoop, swoop. Okay, now I'm gonna go back with that elastic band and just, you know, let that lay down nice and flat to give us that, you know, melted, keyword melted look. And we're gonna start defining the curls, because I know that's what I want to know next. So the way that I get my curls to always look phenomenally juicy and popping is so simple, y'all. All I use is water. Well, for this, I just use water. Sometimes I put a little bit of conditioner, but most of the times I just put water in a spray bottle. The key to this is getting the hair wet, especially if you just got it right out of the box. You want to basically break down that manufactured curl pattern that it came in, because most of the time that's not the real curl pattern or like the best the curls can look. So I like to make sure I get the hair really wet, and I go in with my brush and just start brushing out the old curls until the new properly defined curls start to form. I do have like 2 to 3 videos where I go more in depth talking about how I really define all of the curls on my curly wigs, so make sure you do check those out as well. But it's really all about taking your time to brush those curls and to scoop the bottom of the hair, and also scrunching the curls too, to help, you know, like manipulate them and help them to form the way you want, because I like my curls to have little nice little ringlets on the bottom. So scooping the brush as you're brushing down and scrunching really helps to promote those ringlets to form. Another thing that's important is making sure that you're not running your hands through the curls while they're still wet. Like literally once you brush them and scrunch, leave them there to dry in that, because when you're running your hands through the hair after you already brushed and defined it, it's going to make it go back to that loose state when you're looking for a nice tight defined curl. To give the hair a bit more fuller look at the ends, I'm just cutting a little bit off the ends and cutting a bit of layers to help frame my face. And since, you know, cutting the hair does make the ends look blunt, so I'm going to for sure go back in my brush, rebrush the hair, re-scrunch, and re-get these curls to look nice and defined. Once I've done that and defined the hair all the way around, I just let the hair to air dry. I sometimes will use a diffuser if I'm like in a crunch for time, but honestly, a diffuser as well can dry out the ends and I won't get the best curl definition. So I definitely just recommend letting your hair air dry, do your makeup, I don't know, do something. Lord, we are almost to the finish line. As you guys can see already, wig installs or like prepping your wig and taking the time to make it look as best as it can, it's a bit of a process. Looking like scalp does not come that easy, okay? So now that my wig has dried, it's not fully dry, it's probably like 80%. I'm gonna go ahead and just do a little extra tweaks to the hair to make it look even a lot better. Here's what the baby hairs are looking like, you know, right out of the wrap. I'm just gonna go in with this tweezer and just kind of clean up the part and pull out some unnecessary hairs that are, you know, ruining the look. And I'm going in with this concealer that's about 1 to 2 shades lighter and just popping that into the part so that can, you know, really pop. I'm using some black mascara to kind of just, you know, fix those places where I put too much makeup on, and to probably fix any sparse places in the part and make the part look more straight and defined. I'm using that magical hot comb again to help me, you know, shape the hair the way I want it to, flatten the parts that I want flat, lift the parts that I want lifted, to kind of just frame my face the way that I want it, right? And I'm also going to use a little bit of this wax stick to help get away of any flyaways and give me a more smooth, flatter finish on top. These are all the little like details that you have to put in after you've already installed the wig to just really make it look nice and natural and just look very professional. But finally, we are to the end of this installation video. I do go on for a bit and just kind of like fluff the curls out a bit to give me a little bit more volume. And I do, you know, just keep tweaking the hair, because that's what we do with our hair. We just keep playing with it, messing with it. Sometimes what we're doing honestly makes no difference, but you know, until you're pretty much satisfied. But yeah, that is all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for watching it. If you made it to the end of the video, comment down below. I hope you learned something. I hope this was useful for you, and I hope to see you in another one. And goodbye. Peace out, Girl Scouts.